Good afternoon, my name is Referendum Jeffrey, and today we're here with Robert Amar, Sheldon Khan, and we are going to talk about the issue with the LNG gas. So without further ado, I ain't gonna stay too long because I'm not too knowledgeable on the subject. So these guys here have some knowledge that I believe that the people want to hear. So Mr. Robert Amar.
Well, again, a pleasant good afternoon to the viewers. You know, we are in some interesting times, and I say interesting time because we have a situation that is on our doorstep right now that may cause us some pain depending on today in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Nobody knows what will happen. I mean, my take is that if I am the president of Guyana, I will sit down with Maduro and negotiate a deal. Say, hey, what's the problem here? What you want? You ain't getting me land. Because at the end of the day, that's mine. Let's at least agree to disagree on that. You want the resources? Let me share it. Your people need it, my people need it. What would be a percentage you would accept as being a fair percent? Because hey, we could go to and fro, you could kill everybody in Guyana. You have bomb and all kind of thing. You have big jet that America give you. You have an army that's bigger than mine. The whole Caribbean, irrespective of what anybody say about touch one, touch all, make no damn difference, because if the whole army of the Caribbean get together, we still can't even compete with you. And obviously, we have to understand that if anybody do anything, Russia and China right there. So we're now talking about war, real war, because you ain't be able to just come in and do what you had to do, and America come and rebel. We know what happened in Afghanistan, and America left with their hands empty. Everything they carried there, trillions of dollars, ended up staying there. So hey, they can make the same stupid mistake again. But the powers of the Russian and the Chinese, who are my friends, by far superior than America and Russia and China, they will step in. And the Chinese army is no little army.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, America could do what you want to do. You could have all the MiG and you could have everything, blah, 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 blah. Chinese and the Russians will come and deal with it, because we're not dealing with humanitarian issues here. We're dealing with resources. It's oil, it's gas, it's gold, it's diamond. So at the end of it all, we understand what's going on. So I say that to open the discussion about this issue that the Prime Minister came back and, showed his muscle. I'm the best salesman since sliced bread. You see, I went, everybody talking. I get them to reorganize the deal. Yeah, but he wasn't able to answer some simple questions.
In the press conference.
Yeah. He wasn't able to answer simple questions. The questions that has to be answered in order to appreciate whether this 10% across 4 trains makes sense is, what is the opening balance sheet? What you get 10% of, what asset? And I think the opposition leader dealt with him in a particular way that would have embarrassed him.
Yes.
In that she kind of said, well, nothing in the world is for free. And she's right. What are you getting? And what is it costing you? Did we pay $200+ million to the operators of Atlantic LNG as an inducement to get here? I don't know.
So the operators we're saying specifically is that the government would have paid the operators
$200+ million was given to Atlantic LNG. That's what the Prime Minister tell the country.
Right.
No, yeah, it didn't go in there and he said, look, here's the share certificate for it. Now, if you give me $240 million, give me a share certificate, then I do have a problem.
No, I don't want to really switch up the topic. And there was something similar at one point in time that Gary Griffith would have said that the Prime Minister would have offered him $40 million as to get some equipment and then for the police, and he turned around and he said, hey, that could have been happening.
No. What Gary said is that the Prime Minister put some money in an account and he tell him go after these people.
Okay.
Had nothing to do with equipment.
Okay.
If not, every police officer would have a body cam now. And the man,
well, I just saying that to be nice. Yeah,
and the man who fly in the room the night with a 38 and shoot the man and the woman in the bedroom. We don't know what happened really. Because we'd be able to hear the woman saying, well, come in here, boy, or kill me, you know, we'd hear. Yeah. But I think the Atlantic LNG deal is far from clear, and the Prime Minister is very disingenuous in trying to palm off that irresponsible situation of him saying that he was successful in negotiating a deal as the best salesman for Trinidad and Tobago. That is an oxymoron position, because the man has not given us no details. Here's what. When you're getting into a deal, and that's the same problem we have with Air Caribbean and Air Jamaica. Air Caribbean and Air Jamaica joined, and there was a situation where Air Jamaica or the Jamaican government owned a percentage of Air Caribbean, but we never knew the details. Up to now, we don't know. And in the books of the government of Trinidad and Tobago, the government of Trinidad and Tobago has pumped substantial Trinidad and Tobago money into Air Caribbean. But we don't know whether Air Jamaica or the Jamaican government has gotten a reduction in their shareholding. When you put money in a company, you have to either have an increase in your equity, or the person who's supposed to be a partner, if they don't put money to match their investment, then they get a depreciation in their equity. So you went from 90-10, so to speak. You put 100 million and the other person put none. If 100 million equal to 1% of the shares, then you go 91-9. Now we don't know the deal between Atlantic LNG and the government of Trinidad and Tobago. The Prime Minister never gave us the details. So Atlantic 1, 2, 3, 4. We know we have 10 in 1, and we know we are 11 in 4. We know we have 0 and 0 in 2 and 3. But all these shareholders have to agree. Not just the major one that he went and signed with. We have a Chinese shareholder inside of there, and we have some other shareholders.
So what you're saying then, we only have 10% in the whole deal, like 10% of the profit, not so.
But we don't even know if it's 10% of the profit or 10% of the equity.
Or 10% of the company.
Or 10% of the company, which is the equity. But did all the shareholders sign off?
Now, that point need to break down a little bit. If it's in equity, what do you mean then? If it's
equity means the value of the company. Right. When you start a company, and you have what is called shareholders. Shareholders come up and say, okay, it's for this company to run, we need $100. How much you go give me?
All right.
Trinidad say I'll give $10. Shell say I'll give 20. BP say I'll give 80 or 70. So now we have 100. When the time comes and we going to build the next train, if you want to be in it, and the next train costs $100 too, you could possibly maintain your 10. In this case, we went to 11. I don't know how we went to 11 and not to 20, especially when you look at train 1 as being so profitable based on what I just read for you from ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Okay, and anybody can go and ask ChatGPT about Atlantic LNG, you'll get all the answers. You don't have to be no rocket scientist with ChatGPT now. Free information.
Free information.
And authentic. Because it's not no makeup thing. That is AI.
Yeah. The only thing about ChatGPT, it have a limitation up to 2022, I believe.
Well, okay, we ain't thinking about that. This is 1999. Come on.
Yeah.
Don't check the chicken forward. We ain't have it yet. We have eggs, and we're hoping we get hens to come and sit on the egg and hatch them.
What is your thoughts on the... You spoke about a possible restructuring of the company. What's your thoughts?
No, it's not a possible restructuring. The Prime Minister said the company has been restructured. That gives Trinidad 10% across all 4 trains. The Minister of Energy came forward today in his very kind of, what should I call it, laid back way. He said, well, what happened? We have 10 here and we have 11 there, so we have 5 across all 4. Now we have 10 across all 4. Well, that is stupid, because we had 10 on 1 and 10 on 4. So really and truly, what we get was 10 on 1 and 10 on 2. Because we always had 10 on 1 and 10 on 4. So that dotish talk he talking about 10 across all 4 is an idiotic statement by an unintelligent man that the Prime Minister put as the Minister of Energy. You can't tell me that you now have 10 across all 4 and break it down to say, well, 10 and 11, well, let's have 5 across all 4. Okay, but you always had 10 years, reduce yourself. Mm-hmm. You now have just been able to get a play of getting 10 on 2 and 10 on 3, but we don't know 10 of what.
Yeah, we know if it's...
Do we have a share certificate for 10% of the value of that asset? And we don't know what is the profitability of 2 and 3. Bearing in mind that 1 was the most profitable. And 1 is not functioning because it have no gas. And we still have no gas to give 1. So 1 is still down. When is 1 coming back online? When Dragon come? That will kind of have a predetermined position, possibly after today, in the Grenadines.
A more concerning point I would like to raise is the fact where the oil and gas sector, the same major players in this Atlantic energy, and I'd like to get your views on this, seems to be or is shifting towards moving towards Guyana.
Well, I don't know if they're moving towards there, because remember that Guyana at this stage has gone to bed with Exxon.
Yeah.
They haven't gone to bed with anybody else. They have gotten more or less the full gambit. Now, again, the president of Guyana and the vice president of Guyana, who was the president before, came and told us they want to learn from the mistakes of Trinidad and Tobago. Well, what they have done is copied the mistakes of Trinidad and Tobago, because they have done the same, it looks like, because we really don't know the details of the Guyanese deal.
Yeah.
But it looks as if the Exxon has pulled a wool over their eye.
And they're making trillions of dollars.
Well, according to the man, shiploads of oil going every single day, 300,000 barrels or whatever. So what does that tell you? The people who are from the Americas don't care about nobody. You understand? They are caring about themselves. They are like in the old days, Halliburton, when Dick Cheney, I think, was one of the shareholders, or had an investment. He had an interest. So, or like Bush. They negotiate the deal in Saudi Arabia to make sure that United States of America get the best deal. So the same thing happened in Guyana. Guyana didn't get a best deal for Guyana, and I am not the only one saying that. That is being said by Guyanese. A fellow named Glenn Lal.
Yeah.
That continues to beat up on the Guyanese administration day by day.
Yeah.
Now, 60,000 Frenchmen can't be wrong. And the opposite side has never been able to answer. So you have 2 people who are now in office. One that was the former president, that is now vice president, and one who is the president that has been put there. Like in Trinidad and Tobago.
Why is it put there?
Put there because they had to put somebody who they could control. Trinidad and Tobago, we have a man they put there because they could control him.
Now, you would have said something, going back to this part where you talk about the trains. You say 10% in one, right? And if you would have seen that it was profitable, why not more than 10% in the US going down?
Hey.
So it looking like we have a kind of dotishness for leadership.
Well, no. We went from 10 to 11. My question was why we only went to 11. Especially when you know that you have the raw material. And I am a little bit worried as to who's the negotiator. What was the conditionalities for deciding? And in this particular case, what were the details that was used in order to come up with some decision that we will move forward? Remember, no technocrat went on this deal, you know. The technocrat that went here was a lawyer. His name is Stuart Young. And the other who went was a volcanologist. His name is Keith Rowley. So you had a guy who knew about volcanoes, and the other man who knew about law. But you had nobody that knew about gas-based business. And they talk about employing 3 consultants. I don't know where's the capacity of them consultants, and they never ever educated us as to who they are. What's the last deal they do that proved to be successful? How do you make a determination to use your company, his company, or my company? It has to be from history, track record. So where's the track record? It's like I keep always asking about the 1,869 kilograms of cocaine down Monas Island. After that, we don't know where it's gone, you know.
Or like the AV oil gas.
Or like the AV oil gas that come from reputable people that did the survey, that the Prime Minister
That's alleged is a friend of the Prime Minister.
No, well, AV is not alleged. The Prime Minister said the man is his friend.
Yeah.
This is no alleged. You know, that like people who go out there to try to CYA. Forget that. Prime Minister said, so what do you expect? I'm a friend. I pick up the phone and I call him.
You see that.
So it's not about me saying it. He said it. Now you're a big man. When you do your thing, you must stand up for it. And if you're wrong, like in my case when he was wrong, he bowed. He didn't genuflect, he just bowed. And I was happy for the bow. but we have that.
He said another apology?
Yeah, we have that in writing.
Right.
We have that in writing. Right. And the Prime Minister's office apologized publicly. I didn't have to apologize. He's the one time to take up the paper and tear it up. And up to today, he is so disrespectful. He has not under the Constitution, which he swore he will uphold the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago. The Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago says that freedom of the press exists. Now, if he was a big man, instead of bringing AZP News and putting them to sit down in the same room with him, probably Harry, what's your question? He should be saying, Mr. Amar, what's your question? If I was there to ask him them questions, boy, we'd have flogged him. He would have leave with whales on his back.
So we're trying to say that he afraid of the beating that he might get?
Not afraid, he knows that he'll get a beating. Do you go into a place where you know you'll get tail bust?
No. Look, me and Can was now coming up the road there. He say, boy, 5 minutes away I want to show you something, but I ain't going there, you know. So we might be able to come out.
Correct. So what are you going there for?
Yeah.
What you want to come and banter with me for? Mind you, Robert Amar does not know all.
Right.
Robert Amar is not infallible. Robert Amar can make a mistake. The difference between Robert Amar and others is that Robert Amar, when he makes a mistake, comes quick and say, hey, I have an error here. I want to correct it. The others sweep it under the carpet and hope that you forget. Now that's the difference between leader and leader. And to be honest, we have a set of fakes as putting up themselves as leader. And no disrespect to Mr. Hamilsmith, who just launched this party called Hope. I had to banter with him one-on-one this last night because he's there saying, well, he's one of the first to sign the petition. And then he comes back and he...
What's that, the referendum?
The referendum. And then he comes back and say, you had to have consultation with the people and all of this kind of...
Going further, can you just explain referendum a little bit, please?
Okay. So the simplest way to explain this thing is for you, the citizens of the country who is paying attention, that want a better democracy, please go up on Referendum Trinidad and Tobago. When you go up and you find that site, you will get a clip. Open the clip. Before you read anything, play the clip from Dr. Eustace Eric Williams, or Eric Eustace Williams. Play that clip. That clip tells you everything about democracy. He goes into detail explaining democracy is not only one man, one vote. And then he goes into a whole lot of different explanations about democracy. We have been governed in Trinidad and Tobago for 60 years by individuals who really do not care about democracy. Democracy for them is a word.
But the country, the infrastructure, the pavement, because we now driving up, not to cut you across, because you're not considering my father. But we now coming up Peter Avenue there, and I'm showing Renison how nice they fix the pavement and how nice they put up plant pots and lighting. And I asking him, why Point Fortin not getting the same service, because we paying taxes in Point, the gas and the oil coming from Point. You know, I find all the tongues and boroughs should be looking like that.
We come back again to what is called planning and execution. Trinidad and Tobago unfortunately has no plan and has no execution of a plan. Whether it is medical, whether it's legal, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's social, whether it's old age, whether it's schools, whether it's roads, we have none. Whether it's WASA or TNTech, and out of them TNTech is the best. But when you sit down and you ask yourself why it is Point does not have a similar, is because we never sat down and decided how are we going to make these towns important that they can generate revenue. Trinidad sees itself as Port of Spain, capital, and therefore they do everything to make the capital good.
Is that because they have one group of people who push for Port of Spain?
No.
The rest of people don't have a voice?
And that is what referendum is all about.
It's giving everybody a voice.
Obviously. So the people of Point Forte now, by their vote, looking at the unfair position being taken by the central government to give preferential treatment, because at the end of the day, it might have been better for them to develop Point Forte that way. It would have been cheaper, faster, and better, and tie it into the Point Carnival.
But the people in Point Forte deem themselves to be PNM people who run the country, you know.
Well, forget about PNM and UNC. That is immaterial. That is part of the failure of the society that we live in today, because we have let the politicians rape us. We have been raped from 1962 to 2023. And we will continue to be raped until 2024 and beyond. Leadership is not existent, and if it is existent, it is visionless. You cannot create a society, a harmonious society, without some kind of vision or medium to long-term plan. In between there, you will have sporadic short-term or things that happen that you have to deal with. But you need a kind of 3 to 5 year plan, and you need a 5 to 25 year plan. Your 3 to 5 year plan has to take into consideration how am I going to enhance the lives of the people. And once you could do that, then your 5 to 25 falls in, because they have to run parallel. You can't be doing 3 to 5 and forget 5 to 25, because certain things take longer than certain things. But it's what you call the domino effect. When you start fixing the 3 to 5 issues, the 5 to 25 does automatically feel it, because everybody is in the same.
The politicians that we vote for care about that, because you have Fitzgerald Hines represented Laventille, and as soon as you get a chance, you go on Hill and Park to live.
At the end of the day, I give the man the right to go and live where you want to live. As far as I'm concerned, if you want to come and live in Westmoreland, come live. But don't deny your people representation. And that is the bigger problem. It's not about where Hines goes to live. I couldn't care. He could live in Tobago, but he has people who have voted for him in a constituency. He must have that 3 to 5 year plan and 5 to 25 with some kind of adaptation of progressive leadership. Who is going to carry on in my legacy? But politicians have no legacy except prime ministers. Prime ministers is the only ones who have legacies.
Right.
Regular politicians, like the man down in Point, who is your MP. He has no legacy. His legacy will be controversy. But he can't say that when he got inside of there, he decided, look, I'm going to take this area and turn it into an eco-environmental area, and I'll adopt this. He is not going there and saying, you see that school that's fallen apart, I will take that school and I will go to the community and I will raise money to fix that school without having to suck up to Keith Rowley to get the money to fix it. He wouldn't do that. He wouldn't go and put on a raffle to raise money to help impoverished people in the area, because as far as he's concerned, that is the state responsibility. But at the end of the day, he is the one, the institutional people, both individuals and others, voted to go and represent their interests.
And that is the job he applied for.
And that's what he applied for, but he's not doing it.
Yeah, he applied to represent the people and better their circumstances.
That we agree upon. The problem is that you and I could say that. The reality is that he don't care nothing about that. That's why I said there are no legacies.
Now, you say that, but when the purported or decide to run for office, that is not what they're telling people on the initial stages.
Okay, so let us take that and agree. So you come and the fella who come or the woman who come and give it all that kind of blah, 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 and you say, oh God, I love this person.
She could talk.
She could talk, boy. We love you so because we care for you, because the PNM has a plan. You understand? So they have a plan. Here what happened. In between that whole mix now, you realize that that person only give you BS. So what you do then? What do? The person give BS and next time the next person comes to get the same BS and you go back and do the same thing. How does that make sense? So the reality is that we have a problem. And the problem is that in Trinidad and Tobago, we fall for the same stupidness over and over. And this is where we have a significant fallout. If you do something and you find out it wrong, or you didn't get the results, do you do the same thing over and over for 50 years? And I was making the point earlier when we went off track when he was talking about referendum. In 1962, this country got independence. The Prime Minister at that time had taken the country from colonialism to independence, but as a fella said this morning, we never had to sweat for anything, you know. It looked as if, as they say, England wanted to get rid of Trinidad and Tobago because it was too much of a problem. They said, give them fellas independence, let them catch their tail. And we did catch the tail from 62. We had an insurrection in 1970, a military insurrection in 1970, just 8 years after we became an independent nation. 1970. La Salle, Rafik Shah. I was wrong. You understand? The man who was the head of the military then, they called him back because he had retired to take charge to fix the problem. Unfortunately, after that happened, we then saw the demise of that Prime Minister, and then we saw a man come into the place, Chambers. And George Chambers did well, but of course, they looked at him as though he was unintelligent. But all the history will show that he was the one Prime Minister that really took interest in the country. Under the Eric Williams era, it was O'Halloran and Privat, you understand, and Gene Miles, and all them kind of lock joint and all them kind of thing was taking place. And nobody had do nothing about it. Everybody was happy like Papi. We come now to the stage that in 1985, we get an opportunity. And we brought in the NAR. And the NAR turned around and started to do things in a different way. At that stage, this man had 33 seats. I sat like we sitting here now with that man in the Prime Minister's old house among 10 or 11 other top people in the country at a meeting when he was asking what do we do to reinvigorate that the NAR get back in office. And I turned to him and I said, Prime Minister, if you really want to get back into office, start to hang the people on that row. And boy, who tell me to say that? I never forget Mr. Bulmus, as they used to call him, Mr. Knox, get up and say, Robert Amar, we didn't come here to talk about that, you know. We come here to talk how to put the NAR back in power. So, well, that's the way to put them back in power. Since 1985, we have this problem with deviant behavior, criminality, and nothing has been done. So if you don't do anything and you leave the thing to go, it will get worse. It's like gangrene in the foot.
So you tell them face to face.
Bust the truth.
Bust the truth.
We have laws in this country that says that's the law.
Yeah.
But we have a judicial system that doesn't follow the law. The judicial system says, all right, wake me up when it's over. And we sleep. That's why the other day it took 38 years for a woman who was raped to get judgment. 38 years. Can you imagine a woman living a life for 38 years knowing that somebody raped her and the judicial system did nothing? And that's across the board. That's why the prison service now is having a man telling you, you see all these prisoners that come in here, all these people are put in on remand, that you know we responsibility, you know. Responsibilities for persons who is criminals that they catch, that they serve, put to jail, and we have to take them and bring them back out into society as good people. But hey, the woman and her son that just get killed, the 8-year-old, they're now pointing a finger at somebody that supposedly, I believe, was involved with that woman from years ago, that they find that is responsible for her demise. And she complained
about that person
to the police. And she said they wasn't taking her on. All the domestic abuse in this country, when you go by the police, them fellas just be under the desk. I sure they just pull down their pants when they're talking to the person, the female especially, and saying, yes, yeah.
That's a reality there, because we know it in we village. When police raiding, because somebody they don't care. So when they come, they kick down a man door and they come because some of the areas didn't fence and them kind of thing. Afterwards, when the police come, they're coming back to visit them because they see how they're looking, they run up in the house and they're visiting plenty of these women and them.
Well, hey, hold on. What about the little girl in Mayaro that get killed? What about the little girl in Mayaro that get killed? Yes. Killed because she could have identified the rapist.
Right.
But she dead. And what we have to show for it? Nothing. So what is the situation in a society like this? If the people of this society show no care. I tell everybody, you know, I'm 70, you know, brother. God grant me 70. My father died at 52. My brother died at 69. My mother is 101 and going to be 102. I'm 70. If God take me tomorrow, I would have served my term. I have legacy. Kiskidi Caravan, they could never repeat that. Barrington Levy concert, they could never repeat that. Snow concert in Trinidad, they could never repeat that. Them is things I do when I was young. Biggest concert in this country, I was responsible for it, Barrington Levy. Sure, it was over 55,000 people in the damn stadium. That opened it all everybody in. I ain't got nothing for it. I get the first 40,000 people that pay. But how much do they give to pay in them days to go to concert? You think it's like, no?
At 50 less or something.
I can't remember the number.
Less.
But we're coming back to this issue of referendum.
Yeah.
So after the man, which is Robinson, had 33 seats, he didn't see it fit to do nothing. When we know past the post is the order of the day. You had enough to change the rules of the country. But all of them are afraid that if you put proportional representation, because we have ethnic voting, Africans vote for the African leader, Indians vote for the Indian leader, and the people on the fence vote for the leader who they feel is the best. When that number comes, they know, although in the last election, the so-called African party got at least 15,000 more votes than the so-called Indian party. So that theory doesn't really hold water. The reality that we have to face is that the men who we put in charge that become the leaders, and I never forget Robinson, boy. I went and meet that man in the towers, in his office there, when he was Prime Minister. And when I went in to see him, I saw the drapes falling down. And I asked him, I said, Prime Minister, how come you can't get the drapes fixed? And he said to me, Robert, you think it's easy? You know how much time I asked them to repair those drapes and they haven't repaired it? I, as the Prime Minister, call you to fix the drape and you have fixed it? That's why the civil service is the way it is today. Because government never put their foot down. That's why the unions have become a non-player. Zero. They're all gone. And we have a situation that today, after that 33, they brought back the PNM. The PNM failed again. Then there was a conglomeration of parties. They ended up with 29. Now they couldn't change the constitution, And they tried with one piece of legislation that they get their tail bust, and that is because they took too long. Today we should not have a problem with procurement in this country. All this corruption because of over-invoicing. Like Farley tell you in Tobago, $100 million of over-invoicing. Or now with the issue of Keith Rowley, with regards to this issue of the apartment that his friend wanna sell him, that give him a discount before the Integrity Commission. How you as the Prime Minister could do that? Let the man bill you. If it's 1.8 billion, what's the problem? Pay your damn stamp duty at 1.8. The man could already write you back a check for 400,000. Or he could write a discount on the bill. Nobody would know. Who going to audit e-books? But he make the deed for 1.4. And the daughter deed, I think, is 1.7. And you buy it in the same compound. So who is you and who is she? Now, I never see the deeds. I'm telling you what I hear.
Yeah.
Whether that is a fact or a fiction, let the Integrity Commission deal with that. I work. I know my work, they're not paying me. Last time I got a little 10 days in the Senate, I served 6 hours. But they put me through the bells and rings and whistles for integrity in public life forms. For the year that I wasn't there, I had to file. So I was in 2019. I filed in 2019. And then they come back and say, you're supposed to file 2018 too. And I didn't file 2018. And they charged me $1,500 for failure to file. All the other politicians I sure are paying. Why the hell I had to pay? And I asked the woman, did I say, but explain to me what's going on here. What is the importance of my assets in 2018 when I served in 2019? What kind of doty system is this? What I had in 2018 is none of your concern.
Yeah.
Your concern is in 2019. I had 10, I tell you I had 10. If you come and find I had 11, well then okay, do something about it. But we asking me about me 2018? No. So we have a situation where when they had 29, of course, no priority again. All the talk, as you say, on the platform. We're going to do this and we're going to do that, and we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and they do nothing. The same thing right now with local government reform. When last you hear them talk about local government reform after local government?
Long time.
You think they're coming to talk about that? They're studying payment now for the staff for Christmas, and then Carnival come in, and NCC go want to get money, and this interest group not getting the kind of money they had to get, and Pantry and Tobago not getting here, and how we paying for Tobago to go and play the medium band in Tobago, all that kind of dotishness. And by the time that reach general election. So we have a situation where when the People's Partnership at 29, they virtually did nothing. Now, they did a lot of work, but what is the realizable benefit to you and I as citizens of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago? And I say Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, We are a Republican state. It means to say our republicanism is more important than anything else. That means to say we make the decision for them. But right now they make the decision. Well, Keith Rowley comes, let me tell you something, For you don't take this job, or you don't work,
Yeah, remember.
And Ricardo Drew dead. And he there now with a video going around. Well, I'm going to take the job, I'm going to take the choke, I'm going. He and Patrice Roberts. I'm sorry for the guy. But that's the life. Because the tail is wagging the dog. No plan, no projection, no vision. So we have leaders who have been leading the country that are equivalent to Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder. They're good, They could sing well.
You find they sing well?
Of course.
I'm not impressed.
Well, I mean, you don't have to be impressed. Nobody has to impress you. They're happy with the way they're singing. If you're not happy about it, they're in church. Nobody cares. You could say what you want to say. They're on America Got Talent. And Simon Cowell say, well, I don't like what kind of stupid song you sing there? And when he leaves the stage, he say, well, I don't care about you. I love the song I sing. So we end up with 29. Now we ended up with 22-19. Nothing can change. You think either of the two leaders interested in going to tell the country, hey, they had a walk around the savannah to support this initiative of getting people involved, They call it Project 600. Well, if it had 300 people, it had plenty. I was one of them. I went out there because I really thought we'd have seen a change in the mindset of the people. 550 murders already in the country, and the mindset of the people is, let we kill them more, let we kill them more, we have enough murders in the land, let we kill them more, let we kill them more, we have enough murders in the land. That's the attitude of the people.
I do agree.
But you do agree, but you're in the minority, and here what? That's what a good democracy is about, you know. The minority will have a say, but the majority will always have its way.
I think the majority of people are so frustrated.
They're not frustrated at all. Fool yourself. Welcome to the land of fooldom. Trinidad is a fooldom land. So if tomorrow morning some very nice guy get up and say, here what, we're really serious about this crime thing, and everybody will say, yeah boy, they're really serious now. And then 20 more people dead. And then nothing happens. Hey, face the reality. If the people of Trinidad and Tobago were serious about the criminal position, we would have seen a change. It's just like the highway. I come in to use the highway tomorrow. I come in point.
The coming point?
So here what? Going down there, I want to see where the fella dead. Because I understand now the Ministry of Works take some action.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes, they take some action.
The same barrel that they kick off that Alexander had put down at the end of the highway is the same barrel they use about different color.
Yes, that's true.
Same barrel.
Same barrel, but different.
It wasn't good then, but it's good now. That's the kind of hypocrites we have. And listen, we not serious. If you know you had the problem, you know what's the worst part? The minister bought a piece of equipment to put down rumble strips. He took it on the priority bus route and did an installation. But you go do the research. Rumble strips works with speed limits. So if you're traveling on a piece of road where the speed limit is 60 kilometers per hour, the rumble strips have to be a certain distance apart in order for it to be effective. On the priority bus route, the rumble strip is in one spot. Now, I sent him all the information.
You probably can't read.
Well, that is not my fault. At the end of the day, don't hold me responsible for that.
And the reason why, no, that might sound like a joke, but the reason why I would say that he can't read is because I believe that education is not valued enough in Trinidad.
Well, that might be so.
Because we would have, and the reason I say that is because in Point 14, a secondary school was put to nearly the end of the island in Cedros. But the majority of the students live on the opposite end of the constituency, at least an hour away from the school, without transport to that school, which is in a rural community set off by itself. So you have a student population of 400 students with a school transport service for only 100 children. So on a daily basis, you have children reaching the school 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the morning, and reaching home 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock in the night. So that's why I say that the goodly minister probably went to a school like that, so that's why he can't read.
Well, I don't know whether that is the issue, but you know, with the thing called Chat GPT.
Yeah, we have to be able to read.
Well, okay, but let me tell you something. Chat GPT could talk to it. So even if you can't read, you can put it on audio.
The next thing is,
you can put it on audio. So it speaks to you.
There are a lot of people, believe it or not, well, believe it, there are a lot of people whose salaries in this country is below $4,000 and $5,000 and $3,000 for the month. So there are a lot of people who don't even have a cell phone or have a phone with camera ability.
Right, okay.
For the COVID, I witnessed homes with 3 and 4 children with one
device. Yeah, we know that.
Again, you're looking at children and education being disadvantaged. I asked a goodly gentleman from our radio station called me and told me that we went down there, we called for the resignation of the minister. He told me he didn't agree with that. We should write the minister. I said, but brother, this thing going on 20 years now.
You talking 20, I told you 60, eh? You're being very easygoing. 20 is wrong. This country has been in
Not
trouble.
talking about the situation in the school in Sidros.
Yeah, but it makes no difference. It starts 60 years ago. If there is no vision and no plan, then you'll do stupidness.
So probably that is why the minister, when you would have sent him those narratives and that research, that's probably why he didn't take that decision. It's probably he went to a school like that. So he didn't know, he didn't understand, he can't read properly.
I'm not disputing all of that. That does not give us the right to not have proper planning. You have 22 people sitting down in a room. All of them have been brought there for the purpose of the guidance of the country. You cannot tell me that if he cannot read, the other 21 can read also.
Well,
This is a cooperative, a conglomerative decision. This is decision by proxy. Everybody gets involved.
Yeah, but if those 22 people went to a school system like that,
Then we ready on.
then the majority of them can't read. So
No.
who reading who?
No, well, that's where the trouble comes. That's why referendum is so important, so that questions like that about the setting up of the school structure becomes an important thing. Now we sit down and we say, okay, show me the disbursement of the population all over the country. Get the work done. Employ somebody to do it. See, just how many people it have. What's the age group? Blah, 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 blah. They're talking now stupidness about electoral processes and doing a survey to make sure that the people are there. I say to myself, what is the opposition waiting on? Go and ask for the public information of all the people that dead between 1995 or 2000 and 2020.
The opposition seems to be in opposition within themselves.
But that's okay. But that doesn't change again the responsibility of its administrative executive. Let us suppose she don't have the ability. You want to tell me that the other people sitting like in the cabinet that she have, all of them do have the ability?
Yeah, but the opposition is in opposition to itself.
And I'm not disputing if that is a fact or not. The bottom line is, how do you move a country forward if the people that we elect, select, appoint have no plan?
I never voted for Indian.
Well, welcome to the real world. That's exactly what happened.
I'm afraid I voted for Africa, but that is what the public does. I know it. I
don't care about education.
I know it meant as a joke, but
No,
that's
but you
the
see,
reality.
let me tell you something.
That's the reality.
The reality is that literacy has to come by competency. So whoever takes the responsibility to say, I am going to take charge of the country, that person has to definitely put into perspective, what the hell am I going to do first, second, third, fourth, and fifth? Trinidad and Tobago today, crime is an issue. Whoever go there had to have a plan for crime. And this plan is not a plan, in some cases, that you have to get people to say, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. Sometimes, like Lee Kuan Yew says, you have to take the bull by the horn. You have to take the action. Because like in El Salvador, that president said this thing got to stop. It's 70,000 people he lock up. Not 7,000, eh? And he put a whole military inside of there. Now, they don't like that because they say human rights and human rights. So, it is okay for somebody to come in your home and rape your wife and tie you up in the corner and let you see what I'm doing. And I show you my face like the little girl in my arrow. And when I see your face and I go to the police station and I report it, the next day I find you dead. It's okay for that. And the country's people do not go up in uproar.
But we have whole communities in Port of Spain right here. As you say, Port of Spain, Trinidad is Port of Spain centric. We have whole communities in Port of Spain right here, walking distance, where people seeing heinous crime being committed early, and they fear more than God to go and say anything.
Okay, so here is where this conversation started. Somewhere in the discussion I said, I told Arthur Napoleon, Raymond Robinson, if you really want to get back into office, hang them. Let me tell you something. This country take the opportunity, like how Rowley say, he take the opportunity to give Gary Griffith a chance. this opportunity, the opportunity to give me a chance. I tell you what, all you will love this country. Because I'm 70. So at the end of the day, I know I only have 5 years to do what I had to do. I'm not 14 and 20. In that 5 years, I'll make it count. Because I know after that, either somebody kill me or God take me. And I have nothing else in my life to do but to try and make this country the best, because I have grandchildren, I have children, and I have people who I care about. So when I see these things going on in the country, I just get really agitated. As I tell you, it's like Hamel Smith telling me the pack of crap that he tell me and saying to me, well, I am one of the first to sign, but like he never read the document. Because if he had read the document, he would never. And I said to him publicly today, how many people you get to sign it? You sign it because you believe it. You think on his platforms he will ever talk about referendum as being part of the things that he will put in it and make sure it's in the Constitution? They don't want to put that there because they don't want you, citizen TNT, to have any say. The only say they want is for you to be like a sheep. I need you only once every 5 years. Stay in your blasted place. Stay in line. When I need you, I'll call you. I have the date in my back pocket. I have it in my breast. So when I ready to pull it off from my breast or my back pocket, that's the time when you get ready, okay? And don't tell me nothing. I don't want to hear from you. And make sure you go and vote for me.
But it's not the same with the Prime Minister's songs right now?
Well, that's the point I'm making. And that the country will never go nowhere. Because we continue to put the same
type,
senile, idiotic, inexperienced, non-caring national to make the decisions for a significant amount of caring people. And those caring people are so afraid, as you say, they don't want to stand up to him and say, get out of here. Hear what? I have 3 billboards. I'm just working on the wording right now. In early January, before Carnival, I'm changing the 3 billboards. Right now they have posters on them that deal in no lie. I have 4. Dealing with the democracy and dealing with the promotion of the radio station.
Right.
All 4 will say something to the effect, it's time for Rowley to go.
Okay.
1 is in St. James.
Right.
2 is on this building and 1 is on Victoria Square. All 4 will be replaced with a very, 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 very powerful statement with Rowley picture in it. You know, you have one of them pictures that look so, and that picture I'm going to use.
Okay.
I'm the only person going to do that. No other Trendegonian have the balls to do it. It's my billboard. I am begging nobody for it. I'm going to change it. And Carnival coming, all the bandless pass here. All the bandless pass at Repeat Avenue. If they get the message then, mark my word, then the murders will continue until somebody kill you or kill me. Because at the end of the day, the voiceless has no voice because they don't appreciate and understand. Referendum is what you need to start to change the process for having the rights to the democracy that you got for free. You didn't pay for it. Nobody in this country suffered. The only time we suffered was in 1970 when they had one of the biggest marches in the country in 1970. Ask Clive Nunes about that. In 1990 it was like going by the beach. I remember in 1990 I was living in Belsmite Street when I was in Cape Park Hotel having dinner with 2 foreigners that came to help me to promote that thing called Caribbean Song Basin. And the guy who was the waiter, I never forget him. He ran to the table. He said, Mr. Amar, Abu Bakr take over. I'm sitting there and I could see the Red House from where I'm sitting. And we had to usher these guys into safety very quickly because they are our guests.
Right.
Took a few days before they were able to get out because everything had shut down.
Wow.
I wrote a letter to Winston Dukaran. And if Winston Dukaran is a big man, he will acknowledge that. But I see him not as a big man. He will never acknowledge that. He never one day. The only man that ever acknowledged information that I shared with him was Botiwari. I was on a trip going to Europe. I stopped off in Italy. And in Italy, I saw Abu Bakr in the transit hall. He was leaving to go to Libya.
Right.
I picked up the phone in the airport and called Botiwari and say, Mr. Tiwari or Botiwari, I just called in to tell you. I just saw Abu Bakr in Italy. This is before the coup. This is before the 1990. And he is going to Libya. And I put on the phone. I did my job.
Right.
I am not a security officer. And my job is not to look after the national security. But I could do a better job than Heinz. Heinz is the biggest and most stupidest man I have. But Rowley looked like he have some, Heinz looked like he have some files on Rowley. And he holding him by the short and curlies. And every time he behave bad, he just pull him. He just pull him. And you know when you have them short and curlies, what is happening? You pull it, it hurt too bad, you know. And if you pull it bad, it leave a little boil there, you know, you get that boil and get infested, you know what happened? So anyhow, when that happened, the next thing happened is we had the coup. The military came to my home, picked me up, carried me to the assembly plant. I think we had about 25 or 26 finished vehicles, pickups and whatever we had, double cab, single cab. That is how double cab and single cab pickup end up in the military. Because that is the only thing we had at the time. They took all. It took me a long while to get paid for it, but I get paid. All right? I remember going to the plant. They picked every vehicle up that we had to use. While we was going to the plant, I stopped in El Sicoro. And we saw some men bringing out things from inside the warehouses inside of there. And I am telling the soldier in the vehicle going with me, I said, but what's going on here? Why don't you come out and shoot some in the air to get them fellas to disperse? He said, Mr. Amar, the military of Trinidad and Tobago, their job is to take care of anybody coming in. We have to protect anybody coming in to interfere with us. We have to protect that. Our job is not to do that. Our job is not to interfere with those people. Those people could do whatever they want to do. In simple. He didn't tell me that. I'm paraphrasing. But the important point he said is that the military of Trinidad and Tobago is not to get into the domestic situation. That's how we walk. So anyhow, we went, pick up the vehicles and came back. And what transpired after that was that we ended up in a situation where I came back home. And I remember hearing on one radio station a talk. I sat there, I regret I never kept a copy of the letter. I wrote to Winston Dukaran and I told him, I said, there are only 3 options for this. Do something, do nothing, or call for international help. I say, if you do something, it will never happen again. If you do nothing, it will happen again. And if you call for international help, they will say a week. I said, but those are the 3 choices. I took the letter. I went up to Camp Ogden, delivered it to him in his hand, and then went back home in 1990. I was living in my mother's house at that time. 17 Bellsmith Street. And I asked myself, after you get all of that, you get the opportunity to run this country as the Congress of the people. And same damn mistake is surround yourself with one set of people that only care about themselves. And I could tell you that from experience, you know. Because in them days, I looking around to see and the kind of people that are wrong and the kind of advice. I sat down with Winston Dukaran the night before the general election when he was supposed to go the night on TV, but they'll give you a little time to talk and appeal to the people. And I said to him, I say, I am here because I believe in the interests of Trinidad and Tobago. You need to do two things when you address the country tonight. Tell them who's going to be a Minister of National Security and tell them who's going to be Attorney General. The late Roy Boyd jump up and say, Robert, what are you talking about here? How you could tell the man that? And I say to myself, but we have a crime problem. People want to know that you have a strong national security minister. Mm-hmm. And the person I was recommending was Vernon Dilemma.
What do you think about that statement where Gary Griffith said that one of the major problems in crime is where the government gives
contracts,
gang leaders $5 million contracts that are worth $50,000.
Listen to me. There could be truth, and it may very well be so. Because up to today, like Foster Cummins, might be a very good guy, but up to today he hasn't cleared himself. Gary need to clear himself. Gary need to tell you which is the projects that they got the $5 million contracts for. Because he make the statement. I don't make statement I can't support. You see all this paper, you see all here?
Do you think that Gary would come in the public space and make a statement like that?
Make a statement like what? Like who are the people?
That governments. He didn't say government, he said governments.
Listen, whatever statement Gary Griffith made, he has to put, because this is the one thing that Keith Rowley says that makes sense. Show me the evidence. Okay. I don't have a problem. It's the same thing Gary told the Prime Minister, you can't go in the Parliament and talk about me. When you get a fellow who really don't even understand what he's doing to write a report to suit you. It is not to say that it is a report that was written by anybody of any intellect. You take a former judge and give him and you most likely brief him and tell him what to write. Mm-hmm. How is that possible? It's like a fellow who cheated in an exam. And that's one of the things they say about Foster Cummins. That they catch him doing something wrong when he was writing some exam. You mean at the end of the day, come on. It's you have to prove yourself. The people have accepted that the government does. There is factual information outside there where you see it happening. Mm-hmm. But the empirical data is that nobody didn't walk into no government office and they gave them a brown bag or a suitcase with $100 bills. Mm-hmm. You have to write the check for a company. Mm-hmm. So who's the company? Why is the PS of these things not standing up?
So we're saying then how Gary Griffith didn't make no supporting statement, didn't provide no supporting evidence. You find it was kind of a little reckless to make a statement? Well,
hey, at the end of the day, the society allows you to have a freedom of speech. Mm-hmm. That is one thing democracy is all about. Nobody can sue him. And then Roberts, for instance, has talked about the red couch how much times?
1,001 times.
Has talked about the woman down in the same place where they have the new road that they're going to open just now, and I bet people keep probably going to cut the ribbon.
That the twins it up.
That's the twins.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that seeing that nobody in challenging statements and then it had some form of truth to it.
Well, identical to the issue that has been discussed about Rowley's predator type life experiences. Mm-hmm. Up to today, he has done nothing. Now, hear what? I don't know.
For the sake of the viewers, that is the thing where he was a teacher.
Correct.
Right, and data don't lie. The child was, the woman was pregnant 17 years.
Correct. But when the Chief Justice is your partner, how you taking action? Who is to guard the guards? Now, if the Chief Justice was really autonomous and independent, the judicial system will be working. We have a situation where in February or March of this year, the Prime Minister called the whole Caribbean to Trinidad and had a conference dealing with crime. Mm-hmm. And he says crime is a pandemic or a health something. Whatever you say. You know, at that time, the Prime Minister of Jamaica had already passed a new gun law. And that new gun law says, if they catch you with the gun, no questions asked, 15 years. How come in that crime conference, that Prime Minister didn't introduce that discussion? You understand?
Mm-hmm. Well,
Holness. And we have to ask ourselves, are these guys in the career? Listen, I love Holness, eh? And from what I hear about Jamaica, the place is blossoming. Mm-hmm. Things are happening like Guyana. Mm-hmm. While we are suffering in Trinidad and Tobago, those guys seem that they've done something. Well, look, I think we've spent enough time. I mean, at the end of it all, bottom line, people, you want a better country? Sign on to the referendum movement. The next time we talk, I'll try to go into more detail. The most important thing for you to remember, 60 years has gone. No leader has taken the initiative to talk about referendum, to talk about the issue of fixed date election, or to talk about recall. And these are things that are important to you as a society. We are growing economy, we are growing democracy. How do you grow when the democracy does not represent the interests of the population? It can't make sense. Referendum is the way to go. If you don't get on board, hear what? I'm 70. It really don't make a difference to me, because at the end of the day, you have to live with it. I will go before you, and if you do something about it now, then I'll possibly be able to enjoy a better old age. Other than that, I'm happy. We love you because we care for you. Only the PNM has a plan. That plan is to suffer you. Have a good one.